This is Rebecca Lowe, or Rebecca Lua, if you listen to Suboptimal Radio, and you are listening to Men in Blazers on the NBC Sports Network.
It's unbelievable!
From the Embassy Row studios in the crap part of Soho, it's the Men in Blazers podcast, Rog.
Oh, Davo was just crunching ice.
Oh, he doesn't like it when I crunch
It's
ice.
such a small infraction. I don't know how to tell people to stop crunching ice, but the noise just...
Well, the way you tell people to stop crunching ice is that you keep on referring to the fact that I'm crunching ice. And you know what I do?
What?
Crunch
it
more
loud?
ice.
It's like my mother when she's on the phone to me. Sometimes
Yeah.
she eats a sandwich.
Oh, what a
I
crime.
can't stand that noise. But
What
it's
a
such
crime.
a
Your
small...
mother is eating.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Always pops a sandwich in her mouth when
The
she
woman
calls
that
it.
gave birth to you.
Yeah.
Eating a sandwich.
She doesn't know
How
pain.
dare she?
She doesn't know pain. But the pain of childbirth,
Yeah.
collectively, over 35 years of me having to listen to eat a sandwich on the telephone.
I'm just picturing baby
Probably
Rog
childbirth
popping
still,
out,
isn't it?
looking exactly like Rog.
Right,
Got
I'm
your
sorry,
tweed
Mummy.
jacket, your glasses,
I
everything.
was clad
right
in
there.
I was clad in tweed right out the womb. I was
You were
swaddled
in tweed.
Swaddled in. That's a
Oh,
name.
what a dream.
That's the
Swaddled
name of
in
volume
tweed.
1 of my autobiography that I'm working on.
I know. The
Swaddled
early
in
years.
tweed.
The early years. So good.
Talking about the early years,
Oh.
Davey.
The early weeks, Rog.
How was Arlo Black's first week of watching
First
Premier
Premier
League
League
football?
weekend, Rog, because the first weekend I had him back, international break. And I wasn't going to introduce him to, England versus Scotland. He's not ready for that. So this weekend, it's his first weekend's action. First game we watched was Chelsea-West Brom, of course. At halftime, Rog, right after the whistle went for halftime, the players walk off the field. Arlo let out his first bark. His first ever bark. Because he didn't want the football to end. He wanted to see more action. He wanted to see Diego Costa run those lines.
Chris Brunt's free kick?
Yeah,
Triggered it.
wanted to see a bit more of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was his first bark. We had a great time. Watched the football. He's got a blue collar. He's got a blue leash, Chelsea blue. It's looking good, Roger.
God, I watched the first game when my first son was born, Samson, with him on my knee. And to my horror, Everton lost. We got annihilated. I can't remember who by it. It was someone crap, like Derby County. And now whenever he looks at his book of his first couple of weeks of birth, and he's there in his Everton kind of, what do you call it, onesie, do you call it?
Yeah.
He's in his onesies on my knee watching Everton. And he always says to me, Dad, did Everton win that day? And I always feel terrible about I lie and say, of course they did, son.
Wow.
Of course they did.
Wow.
Memories, they're all false, Davey.
Yeah.
But the one detail of the Nashville trip, which you
Yeah.
told me about after the fact,
Yeah.
and I think was beautiful. One of your happiest moments, probably even trumping picking up Arlo Black,
Yeah.
was the night that you went out with the great GFOPs all over Nashville. Someone came up to you and said,
Had a fantastic night there, but met these three young guys came up from Belmont University. Some of our, younger listeners, 21, 22, looking, because of their facial hair, much older, but they were just terrific young guys. And when one of them set eyes on me, he immediately just said, "Oh, Davo, you are so much less bald in real life." And I thought it was pretty much the second nicest thing that anybody has said to me about my appearance. Only my eldest daughter said to me years ago that of all the dads in her kindergarten class, I was the thinnest of all the dads, which has always stayed with me forever. But less bald in person is a really nice thing.
I'm going to get you a T-shirt.
Yeah,
And Frankie
way
Goes
less
to
bald in
Hollywood
person.
writing that says, I'm a lot less bald in person. And vicariously, I take joy in that because now 3 people have come up to me and said, Davo.
Yeah.
So it must be
really?
in the mood for this, Davo.
You must be also less bald in person.
Yeah, I'm a lot more handsome off the television.
Well,
I
actually,
think.
if you combine our hair, because you've lost your hair at the front,
Yeah.
but you have it going back. I've got it at the
Barely.
front.
Yeah.
I don't have it. I've got a real
If you
Zinedine Zidane.
if you
Zidane.
combine
I've
our
got
hair,
like a
you've
Zizou.
got
You've got a
Wayne
full
Rooney's
head of
neck.
hair.
Well, you got Wayne
Wayne
Rooney's
Rooney's
neck.
neck, yeah.
Yeah,
He's got
it's
a pretty good
incredible.
head
He's got fully. It's like a full velour looking neck,
Yeah.
and almost nothing above.
It just feels like, therefore, that would be so easy to make the transplant work.
Yeah,
Just move that hair up.
he's like
Or
a,
maybe just move his head
It's
down.
it's like a mountain that's been logged
Yeah.
at the top. The old Rooney. You spent the weekend with Arlo. I
Yeah.
spent the weekend plumbing a report which was sent to me by a GFOP at Dante Florence, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, Davo.
Yeah,
They
corporation.
published a list of the most popular tunes played at United Kingdom funerals.
Oh, that's interesting. What's top?
According to Funeral Directors Association, who
Yeah.
track these things. It's fascinating, Davo. Number 2 and 3 are traditional hymns.
Yeah.
The Lord is my shepherd
Yeah, beautiful hymn.
and Abide with me.
Oh, that's another gorgeous hymn.
The pace of Abide with me is almost made for a casket to
Abide
kind of
with
glide
me.
slowly towards the final
Na,
resting
na,
place.
na, na.
Number 4, Davo.
Yeah.
Match of the Day theme.
How does the Match of the Day theme go again? The British one?
It's like going to your final resting place with the kind of Fox NFL music accompanying your coffin. Number 9, Dave.
Yeah.
You'll Never Walk Alone by Jerry and the Pacemakers.
Very good. Yeah, lots of Liverpool fans.
Number 1, though, Dave. I
Yeah.
would never have guessed this. Always look on the bright side of life.
Really?
Monty
That's
Python.
number what?
Number one.
one.
Yeah.
Always look on the bright
The
side of
most
life.
popular.
Always look on the bright side of life. That's genius.
Why do you think that is? What does that say about
Sense
England?
of humour, a great sense of humour, or a great sense of humour of your, surviving relatives, or they really just didn't like you, and they're finding it hilarious. I don't know.
All the Monty Python fans are dying, and of dying age. That's what it means to me,
that's
David.
true. That's true.
Are you going to get cremated or go down in the box?
You're acting like this is going to happen like in the near future.
I just need to know.
One day. I don't really care. I mean, at the point that I'm gone, I would like there to be somewhere where my children, Arlo's children, can come and Arlo's children's children can come and visit me when I'm gone. So maybe
Maybe they
I'd
should
like to have a
stuff you and they
tombstone,
could put you
but-
by as a hat rack by
But
the
whether I don't
front
know
door.
that I want to decompose. I'd rather maybe be cremated, but then
And
a
what
place.
would the music be?
What at my service?
Yeah.
I was listening to some music the other day. It's
JW,
actually-
can you write this down so I get it right
I was listening
on the day itself?
Yeah. I was listening to some music the other day. I think there's an American composer, like modern American composers, post-war American classical composers. David Diamond, probably my favourite.
Double
And
D.
so some bit of David Diamond would be great.
Okay, I remember that. For the record,
Samuel Barber, maybe.
we've talked about this a bit before,
Yeah.
but I want to put it on the record. I want Do the Russians Love Their Children Too,
Yeah, we've spoken about that.
sung by my best man, Jamie Glassman, who I grew up with from the age of 0. He can
Yeah.
do it a cappella in his deep voice. He does the
Yeah.
comic commercials on English television. He brings the treacle,
Brings the treacle.
is what he says. Then I want Tears of a Clown, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles.
Great choice.
And as the funeral attendees head back to their cars,
Yeah.
no doubt in the rain,
Yeah.
I want I Am a Rock by Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
I've got my books and my poetry to protect me. Just everyone's heading off to the car saying, what a bastard he really was.
if I had
He was really a
something-
bastard.
If I had something popular, it would probably be Ice Cube. Today was a good day. I'd like that. It's a good little tune. Sort of symbolising the whole life.
I can't wait.
Yeah. What?
can't
Your
wait
funeral
for
or for
yours.
my
It's gonna
funeral?
be
Really going to be
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to go first?
Both of us.
Simultaneously.
In war,
Suicide
in combat.
pact.
No, it'll be in combat.
Who are we going to be fighting?
We've talked about that. There'll be a
it the
statue
Germans?
of
Are we
us.
going
with
the Germans
with
doing
our-
something
with-
silly
will
again?
there will be a statue of us,
Yeah.
both on mounted horses.
Yeah,
with
pigs,
their
perhaps.
rearing
Yeah.
in the air with their hooves up, which
Yeah.
signifies that we both died in battle.
I love that.
That's the way we're going to go. We're going to be protecting the ghetto
Yeah, love it.
against the Cossacks.
Yeah.
Talking about ghettos and Cossacks,
Yes.
Men in
Which
Blazers ties.
Men in Blazers ties. How are they doing?
100,
They've gone on sale, Rog.
100 red
Yeah.
and 100 blue left.
Only. So we had what do we have? 500 of each.
Yeah.
And we
It's
got 100
fascinating.
left
It's
of
almost,
each.
but what it means is it's a scientific way.
You're either red or you're blue.
And it's almost neck and neck. I think there's 10 more red ones.
The
110
red one does contain blue, whereas the blue one does not contain
But I would have
red.
thought the red and blue one would have been more popular amongst Americans, US fans. That's what
Yeah.
I think of
Red,
when I
white,
wear
and blue.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a lovely GFOP holiday present.
Weirdly, because I'm blue, and yet I prefer the red and blue tie.
I love them both, David.
I know you
I li-
tend to wear the blue one.
I like to tie the red one around my head
Yeah.
and just run around with my shirt sleeves ripped off.
Yeah.
But we have 10 of these ties still available to all of our listeners in the competition. They
We've
have-
got a competition for 10 of them.
Yep, they are
win one
available
for
for
free.
everybody. War Pig
Yeah.
Hashtag Mark Wilmots is the original War Pig, the Belgian manager. We've laughed at what use is a War Pig in war, but we've asked who's the most deserving of that title, the War Pig in the current EPL. Just tweet us and we will be awarding the 10 best answers a tie of their very own.
And I think we have to say, these ties, General Knot have done an amazing job with these ties. They are just beautiful. They are really, really as high quality a tie as you're going to find.
And I will also say we want to apologise to female GFOPs. Many of you have written in and said, ties, we don't like to dress like Annie Hall that much anymore.
Yeah.
What have you got for us? And you've also, many of you, we've been inundated with people who want infinity scarves. I don't even know what an infinity scarf is.
Yeah.
A couple of people wanted us to do a Men in Blazers charm bracelet.
Yeah.
Which sounds beautiful, yet a bit too intricate for David and I. We've got little fingers.
We should do a Men in Blazers air tie, Rog. Do you know what an air tie is?
I don't, but I
I
like
only
the sound
found out
of it.
yesterday. It's basically no tie. It's wearing a shirt, but with the top button done up and no tie. And it's called an air tie. It's a huge fashion trend right now.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I love it. It sounds very much like a tuxedo T-shirt,
I'll
which
do
is,
it
of
right
course,
now.
my
I'll do it while we are podcasting.
What are those
right
things
now?
they
I'll
wear
show
in
you.
the South?
Bolo ties, Roger. Bolo ties.
Maybe a Men in Blazers bolo tie.
Yeah, but still, that's not going to make that many of our female listeners happy.
Okay.
What should we make for our female listeners?
Tell us.
Yeah.
We will do it. Maybe a Men in Blazers national team jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That's an air tie.
Air tie.
It's good that this is a oral podcast and not a visual one, Dave. You look like a preacher.
Good. Excellent.
You've never looked
Am I
more like
pulling off the
Forrest
look?
Gump.
Okay, Rog. We got such a packed show today. It's tighter than a Crystal Palace cheerleaders jersey. Rog, those, by the way, let me just say, those Crystal Palace cheerleaders, I'm from South London. I don't know where they found those women, but they are not from South London. Nowhere near South London.
We found out today you can actually rent, they're called the Crystals. You can book them. And on their booking, their agent thing, it says they can either turn up in the Crystal Palace jersey that they wear. It's really not a jersey, it's a scrap of fabric cut from a Crystal Palace jersey that covers, some would say covers their modesty, other people probably not. But it also says the girls are willing to wear bespoke costumes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't know what that means.
Would they wear Chelsea uniforms? I mean, it's a funny idea. Anyway,
I find it frightening.
we're going to break down. Never seen anything like that Crystal Palace pre-game. We'll talk about that later. We're going to break down the stories of the little teams beating the big teams, Rog, Crystal Palace, and Manchester United. We're going to celebrate Burnley scoring not once but twice. We're going to stroke
Keep your
Ravens.
powder dry, Burnley.
We're going to stroke your Ravens, including one about the fast upcoming Thanksgiving weekend. And we're going to welcome the Inigo Montoya of the Premier League, Mr. Kyle Martino, onto the pod. He's going to discuss MLS, Rog, and perhaps, more importantly, moustaches. Okay, Rog, to the football. Crack open the Guinness. I think this is the first time we've ever done it where neither of us have spilled a drop. Cheers, Rog.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving, my love.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. We are now 12/38 of the way through the Premier League season. That reduces to 6/19. That's almost a third, Rog. Was there one thing that jumped out at you above all others this weekend, generally?
Big
Rog?
happening of the weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, definitely. I think for the first time seeing super hairy Roblo,
Yeah, that was big.
super skinny Roblo.
Yeah.
I mean, he commits, doesn't he? Like,
Yeah, it does.
he reportedly lost 50 pounds for that role. It's like McGonaghy in the Dallas Buyers Club.
It's amazing what it'll do for a 30-second commercial.
Where are they going next with this franchise, David?
I don't know. You suggested super Jewish Roblo. I don't think that's going to happen.
They go around screaming Yiddish curses at this cable box.
Yeah.
I hope all your teeth drop out apart from one, and may that one cause you intense pain.
Wow.
I'd like to see super cokey Roblo.
Yeah, that's good.
Send us in some suggestions, man.
Yeah. Super what Roblo?
Here's the best super Judd Nelson Roblo.
Yeah.
That would be probably the apex of the franchise.
Super Miguel Herrera Roblo would be good.
Keep him coming.
Yeah, it'd be great. Huge game this weekend, Rog. The big game, the game we were all looking forward to, the massive game. Arsenal versus Manchester United, a battle between two bedraggled superpowers desperate to restore order in their respective kingdoms. After a flaccid first half, United got off the mark in the 56th minute. Tony V's low drive carroned off Kieran Gibbs. and into the
I like
net.
that word,
Rog.
carommed.
Carommed.
I don't like the word kudos, but I like the word carommed.
Interesting. Kudos, of course, the Greek word for trousers. Arsenal responded with waves of benign possession that resulted in little but Manchester United counters. And in the 85th minute, Wayne Rooney turned one of those counters into a 2-0 lead. So Arsenal-y, Rog. Arsenal did pull one back late in injury time through substitute Olivier Giroud.
This was the greatest mid-table clash of all time, David.
Yeah, 7th versus 9th.
At Michael Adrian 80 tweeted us today, it's like watching Joan Crawford versus Betty Davis in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. This used to be, we should say, the game of the season, right?
Yeah.
Replete with red cards, fights in the tunnel, flying pizzas.
Yeah.
I mean, these two teams, it needs to be said, it's almost startling when you watch them in their current state. They've won 16 of the last 22 Premier League titles, 10 of the last 22 FA Cups. I mean, their rivalry used to be spiked by proper hate. Just Google Keane and Vieira, best of enemies.
Toy.
Watch that documentary about the two teams, epic enforcers. I mean, this is about sporting animosity, competition. To me, watching
And
this
geography as well. Historically.
North and
about,
South.
Yeah, it was about geography.
To me, this felt like a trip around the seas.
Yeah.
Trying to wonder how it was once considered a mighty power headquartered in the world's tallest building.
God, so true.
Bedraggled was
Yeah.
your key word.
Oh, bedraggled. Everybody was bedraggled.
Everyone was
Managers
injured.
Fighting for respect. You got Welbeck, Roger RVP, playing against their former teams, trying to prove that they're worth it, prove it to their fans and to their previous fans.
I mean, United hadn't won away all season.
Yeah.
The squad was beleaguered by international break injuries, which is
Yeah.
a new trend sweeping the nation.
Yeah.
The defence was wiped out. Daley Blint, the mixed discarood of the Premier League, he's gone too.
Yeah.
So Van Gaal went to go with a back three. But Arsenal also withered. Chambers and Monreal again playing out of position with Koscielny and Debussy out. And the mood was really set in the tunnel. At Mr. Noah Howard, he said the awkward look between Rooney and Arteta in the tunnel as the theme from Requiem for a Dream plays. EPL writers, you've nailed it again. And it was shambolic from the outset. United, so much space between their midfield and defence, and the only thing that was worse than United was Arsenal's finishing.
Yeah. Arsenal, certainly, Rog Welbeck had some opportunities to put the ball in the back of the net.
And Wilshere.
Yeah.
I mean, De Gea once with a massive save, one of many, but the honest truth is when Arsenal did shoot, which they often did prefer not to,
Yeah.
they hit it straight at him.
Yeah.
And then the moment of the weekend for you and me, Davo, Wilshere and Fellaini, like seeing a Bedlington Terrier attack
Yeah.
a Belgian Shepherd. You love the anger.
Maybe a Norwich Terrier attacking a German Shepherd. I think the little short legs. You know, it's funny, before we get to Wilshere is that kind of a player, though. You do see him, he runs purposefully, he makes a great run, and he shoots right at the keeper. I would just still love to see him, and I know he's now picked up another injury. I would love to see Jack Wilshere score more goals. I mean, he actually came off a great performance for England against Scotland. He just would love to see him score more goals. What he was thinking with Marouane Fellaini, though, what must Marouane Fellaini have said to him to cause him to have a reaction where he wanted to literally bite his breasts? Rog, it was very strange.
I mean, the week before this game, Davo, the Guinness Book of Records brought together the world's tallest man,
Yeah.
Turkish farmer, Sultan Kosen.
How tall is he?
8 feet 9 inches.
Wow, that's taller than Manute Bol.
And the smallest,
Yeah.
Chanda Bahudadangi.
Uh-huh. How short is he?
Yahoo News reported is a, quote, primordial dwarf
Yeah.
who makes placemats in the pool.
Nothing wrong with that.
He's just 55 centimetres tall, David.
Wait a minute, in inches, what is that? That's like,
21 and a half.
wow. It's less than 2 feet.
Wilshere attacking Fellaini.
Similar
It was like the two of them
proportions.
getting... It was like watching a tiny placemat weaver headbutt the lanky farmer. It was like watching a special Fantasy Island episode, a Fight Club episode, where Tattoo Hervé Villachez goes bonkers and attacks his master, Ricardo Montalban. It's a societal scourge, though, David. Small on tall violence. I was amazed after this weekend where there's so much playmanship, gamesmanship, that Fellaini didn't just grab his nipples in agony and fall over clutching his areola.
I think he was
try and
honestly
get him a
just
red
so
card.
confused. The replay is so great because he's so confused. He's even going to the ref like, what on earth is he doing?
Why is he
Like,
suckling?
What's he thinking? Why is he suckling? I'm not even breastfeeding. I'm not lactating right now. I can't possibly please him. I can't satisfy my
Fellaini's
child.
always lactating. I tell you, Fellaini,
Yeah.
I spent much of the first half trying to work out if Fellaini had dyed his hair gingy.
Yeah.
Which is a bold, courageous political move of,
Yeah.
of kind of gingy empowerment. At Kella Ella tweeted us and said, maybe Fellaini's always been a true Gingy and he's just been dyeing it black.
That's possible. Or it's a wig. It could be a wig.
Yeah,
a
but
weave.
when they headed to that tunnel at half-time, David, I mean, it was all damning stuff. Arsenal weren't missing anything in Van Persie.
Yeah.
United clearly not missing much with Welbeck. Southampton, clapping for you. You've done amazingly well to exchange Luke Shaw and Callum Chambers for an enormous pile of cash.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Van Persie had less touches in that game than the stretch-up.
Yeah. Van Persie and Rooney still just don't play very well with each other. Rooney's actually on some form. I thought he was the best player in the game for Man United.
Yeah, but 7 shots at half-time to Arsenal, none to United, who seem to be on a mission to prove that really the worst thing to happen to Chevrolet since the Corvette. They still didn't muster a shot until it was 2-0.
Yeah.
But they didn't need to, did they, David?
Yeah, no, they don't need to. When you've got New England left-back Kieran Gibbs doing what England left-backs do so well and make horrible mistakes and put the ball in his own net. Actually, that's not fair to Ashley Cole. They didn't need it.
Yeah,
I mean, Tony V's shot might have gone out for a throw-in. It was curling away and missing by so much.
I can't wait to, by the end of season, Arsenal DVD and pick out the peak Arsenal moment of the season. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a top 3 contender. And all I could write in my notes watching the game was, Arsenal fans, as that ball went into the net, suddenly you know how it feels to be a Spurs fan.
Yeah.
But it got worse. Arsenal responded. How did they respond, David?
They respond with pointless possession, Rog. They do that so well.
It's football's equivalent of erotic grinding.
Yeah, and then they take pointless possession one step further. They get on the edge of their opponent's area.
Arsenal rules.
They look on the threshold of breaking through. They give the ball away so sloppily, and literally 2 passes. Fellaini to Di Maria to Rooney. And Rooney is one-on-one with the young substitute goalkeeper, put away into the back of the net very, very neatly.
And this celebration was harrowing. It was like watching Capturing the Freedmans.
Well, he did. He executed a wonderful quarter turn on the knee slide, Rog. Very difficult to turn on the knee slide. The groundskeepers don't like it, frankly. They don't like it because it does terrible damage to the turf. But then he comes in with the full-on double fist pump, Rog. Good exercise.
I've watched it again and again in slow motion. I find it truly traumatising. Not as traumatising as the sight of Giroud returning for Ramsey, who was really not dribbling or tackling like the bionic man he was last season.
Yeah.
I say, watching Giroud trot
Not
on,
enough
David,
celebrities passing away, Rog.
It was like seeing an old favourite Saturday Night Live sketch you've not seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Suddenly being kind of overwhelmed by a warm feeling of love and humour.
His hair looked good, though, Rog. You've got to say, his hair looks tight. That's a wonderful little haircut he's got going. And he scored a cracking goal as well.
He's Le Cavalry.
Yeah.
It was the most quintessentially French thing I've ever seen, his goal. It was beautiful, yet meaningless.
Yeah.
And I loved his celebration.
He had a little celebration, didn't he? And then he
He
realised...
tried to do a pirouette, and then he stopped himself mid-pirouette and realised that football rules meant he actually had to run to the goal, pick the ball out, and bring it to
inconvenient.
halfway. And the question was, could Arsenal summon their inner intellect that lies within and mount a comeback? And though the game went on longer than the Giants Nationals playoff, the answer was no.
Yeah, and ends up 2-1 to United.
Did the best team win?
Look, I've said many times, is that this whole complaint of like, oh, we were the best team, we deserve something out of the game, we were all those kind of things. Football, Rog, is a game.
Simple game.
Simple game. You have to put the ball in the back of the net more times than your opponents. That is how you win the game. You do not win the game by passing the ball around. You do not win the game with shots on target. You do not win the game with possession. Man United did what is the point of the game, which is they scored twice. And by the way, they scored twice off, this is a little harsh on Kieran Gibbs, but they were Arsenal mistakes. Profligacy as they were attacking and not tracking back and not defending. And the mistake gave
so
Tony
true.
V a lot of space. And when you make mistakes like this and you concede 2 goals, you're going to lose.
And you could say that this was a very Mourinho-esque kind of Champions League performance by Manchester United. Louis van Gaal sent them out very pragmatically, hold the opponents and credit the young defensive line for doing that, and then hope to score on the counter. That worked. Football is a simple game in another way, Dave. It's about how many men you can devote to attacking without leaving yourself vulnerable at the back. And Arsene Wenger's just not come close to working out the balance with this team.
Yeah.
As Nietzsche would say, to live is to suffer, to survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. That's very much a motto that Arsenal fans understand at the moment. And here's what would make me saddest if I was an Arsenal fan. The team went down 1-0 at home. They've not lost in 23 games. But there was no confidence in their response, just panic, no discipline, no belief, no ideas, just kind of fear and drabness. The most fight they showed was their fans throwing red wine at the Manchester United bench. Who takes red wine to a football game then,
Arsenal
David?
fans, Rog. I think, though, to me, I mean, you make the point, it was that fight. And I think looking at Arsenal the past couple of seasons, Rog, you have to question their mental strength of that team. Their record against the top 7, against the big 6, the big other 6 clubs, Rog, is so appalling for the past 1.5 seasons or 1 1/3 seasons. You just have to ask yourself whether Wenger is really getting the most out of his players. To me, it's not tactical necessarily. It's not even about individuals. He's got some very good individuals. To lose this many games against your rivals for your top 4 trophy, it's a lack of mental strength. And that's something which has got to come from the manager.
So interesting because Alisher Usmanov, Arsenal's second highest shareholder, he came out publicly in the press. He said, Wenger is one of the greatest coaches, but we have a Russian proverb which goes, even an old lady can have a roof falling on her. Not a single genius can retain its level when he doesn't admit his own mistakes. Worst start for Arsenal since 1982, back when Up Where We Belong by Joe Cocker and Jennifer Warnes. I miss Jennifer Warnes.
Yeah, good single.
Took place. United's first away win under Van Gaal. To me, they still play like Renee Zellweger looks.
Yeah.
But I did love how Louis Van Gaal avoided accepting praise in the post-match interviews. He said he's still trying to make sure the team are going, quote, upstairs and not downstairs. A bit like Tom Branson in Downton Abbey. But his team, United, they've now got the upper hand in the race for a Europa League place, David.
Yeah, and credit Wayne Rooney. Great goal, great performance from him.
Can I say credit Per Mertesacker?
Yeah.
The great article worth looking up. The one in the Telegraph by Jim White about he went to a synagogue last week and decided to give a talk about Auschwitz, Germany, and the Holocaust.
Wow.
And his feelings on the matter. In a week in which Wigan and Dave Whelan have really kind of shamed English football, it was a remarkable read.
Phenomenal. Down in South London, South London, Crystal Palace 3, Liverpool 1. The ghosts of Selhurst Park, Rog, continue to haunt Brendan Rodgers' men. For the second straight season, Liverpool take the lead only to capitulate 3 unanswered goals and leave South London disappointed. Just you sense a little bit of pressure starting to come on Brendan Rodgers.
I mean, Liverpool entered this game reeling after Daniel Sturridge's 3rd straight injury, David. You look at this list, ankle ligaments, thigh cough, thigh problems. When do we learn that he just doesn't want to play for them? At Mo N Science tweeted us, tests will reveal Daniel Sturridge's muscles are made from pudding.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that he doesn't want to pay for them, but once again, another young England player, talked about Jack Wilshere already, having bad injury problems, and it's got to be something to do, Frank Lampard would tell us, that it's something to do with their preparation, the way that they stretch, he says, every day before and after training, and he's just not sure that these young players are doing it in the same way.
Another problem for Liverpool, and I guess an ordeal for all away players when they play Crystal Palace. You're forced to run on the field past the Crystal Palace cheerleaders.
I mean, that pre-game.
The Crystals.
The pre-game, the cheerleaders. I've never seen cheerleaders at any Premier League game ever before.
Yep, they know NBC are tuning in. They're trying to make themselves America's team. But if you watch Liverpool's players run the gauntlet of pom-poms and tight figure-hugging jerseys in slow motion, I think, and I've done it several times, I think you can pinpoint exactly the moment where Brendan Rodgers' long and thorough tactical pre-game talk is completely shoved aside in their minds and replaced with pages 97 to 125 in 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. It's tough for me to really understand what's going on with Liverpool. There's a moment where...
They're crap.
Well, do you know what? They have moments still when they're very, very fluid. It seems to be a collective, once again, we talked about this with Arsenal, a lack of confidence.
Rodgers' side has scored 14 league goals. It took them 90 seconds to get on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Lambert, no goals in 176 minutes before the kickoff. Beautiful pass from Lallana.
Yeah.
Spanked it home. Southampton old boys network in full effect. Does any footballer look more English Civil War pikeman than Ricky Lambert, David?
Yeah, Ricky Lambert, he's so English-looking, Rog. So
Possibly,
English-looking.
possibly the most English-looking bloke, most downstairs-looking bloke. We ran into John Oliver at a Liverpool pre-season game. Do you remember how he described him?
No, I can't remember. What was it?
He's agricultural.
He's agricultural. Yeah. Him and James Milner, I would say. Lambert and Milner. They're
Bainsy.
cut from the same cloth.
After the game, Neil Warnock sounded, talking about this goal, like he may well listen to the pod.
Yeah.
We got caught, by a simple ball, really. So it was disappointing that, but you can score too early sometimes.
Oh, you can score too early sometimes, Rog. It's very true. Way too early. Way too early. On the road at Selhurst Park against Palace with those cheerleaders and their eagle, Rog, in the pre-game, you can score too early.
Davo and Warnock, two great minds.
Yeah.
I mean, the headlines will be about Liverpool losing, but Palace, I thought they were remarkable. The way they took it on the chin, defended deep. Martin Kelly, in particular, was a man possessed. He played at Liverpool since the age of 7.
Yeah.
Then they sprung the counter, let Liverpool get bogged down in the mud as if Selhurst Park was the Battle of Passchendaele.
Yeah.
All that was good came from Yannick Bolasie.
Oh, Bolasie had a fantastic game. He's always just like head forward, moving forward, head down. He's actually a sort of a Brendan Rodgers-y Liverpool kind of a player, Bolasie.
He's a remarkable bloke. Leon-born, London-bred, Congolese international. Spends his free time in rap battles with Bradley Wright Phillips, who he taunts, "Man will get left in the part like Ji-sung," which I think is quite a good line.
Very good, very clever.
I got the one from their Lord of the Mic 6 compilation CD. He kind of wandered through the gut of Liverpool's midfield. Dwight Gale pounced on the rebound. 4 goals in 3 games for the Arsenal Academy dropout. Liverpool had their chances. Skirtle mishit a sitter. Manquillo shanked a golden opportunity. How wide, David?
Went out for a throw-in, our favourite kind of shank.
And Rodgers tinkered with formation and the lineup, but whatever he did, Palace, propelled by their unbelievable fans, they just never seemed to lack doubt, perhaps, I guess, sensing that the Liverpool back 4 couldn't live with their pace.
Yeah.
Bolasie, all pace, his power, his persistence, Lovren self-harming once more, set up Joe Ledley to go 5-hole. And then how much do you love Mile Jedinak?
Oh, Jedinak. I got to tell you, he's been, I would say pretty much the league's top tackler this season. Such a hard man. You just look at him and you got to flinch a little when you see him sitting in the middle of the park.
My favourite Australian sportsman since Luke Longley.
Yeah.
But he's not just a grinder.
Yeah.
He's become a goal-scoring threat. He didn't score in his first 34 league games.
Yeah.
He's got 5 in his last 15 appearances.
I think what we'd have to say about him is he's a footballer, Rog. He's a footballer. Could play any code of football. That
Aussie
boy
rules.
could play any code of football. But he's a footballer. He can do everything. I love players who are hard defensively, but also have those skills to go and slot away a free kick. What a goal that was, Rog.
Yep. Liverpool, 4 losses on the run for the first time since 2009.
Yeah.
Worst start in the Premier League for them since the inaugural season.
Yeah.
And the black dog the Liverpool fans are experiencing comes from the fact that all of their problems, Dave, Gerrard's miscues, Mignolet's errors, the soft central defence, the lack of pace, the lack of physicality, they just don't seem to change week to week to week. At worst, on lineman says, no matter how bleak your life is, just know it's not Liverpool bleak. It's amazing how quickly fortunes can flip in this league.
Word from last season, and also the form of Raheem Sterling, Roger, player, one of the best young players in the world game. We've talked about it. Everybody's speaking about it at the beginning of the season, and he's just not looking the same young man right now.
I'm not arrogant enough to think I will be in a job through anything, said Brendan Rodgers afterwards, admitting that he is kind of arrogant, but not that arrogant.
Have you noticed that since we started making fun of his teeth, he never reveals them on television anymore? He keeps his mouth so closed. We never have a shot of his teeth anymore.
He's a great friend of the pod.
Yeah.
He loves the Ravens.
Yeah.
I don't know who he can rely on. Gerrard's years of wonder, their nostalgic memories, all the rest is raw potential. Unless he works it out, I've got a feeling his future may lie as an infomercial dentures pitchman. By the way,
have to show his teeth for that.
A lot of media, Davo, surrounding John Henry's recent trip to Dubai.
Huh.
Everyone wrote that he's looking to sell the naming rights to the new Anfield. But I've been speaking to people inside the club. I've heard that he was actually trying to sell the entire club, cash out while things are still good.
Wow.
I feel terrible for Tom Werner, Liverpool floundering, Red Sox doing their kind of Red Sox thing, and Bill Cosby's share, his cash cow, being pulled from syndication. Legacies can never be safeguarded, David.
Meanwhile, Rog, my beloved Chelsea, we don't need to dwell on this game very long. Chelsea 2, West Brom 0. Diego Costa waited just 11 minutes to put the home side in front at Stamford Bridge. Eden Hazard added a second not long after, allowing Chelsea to go into cruise control. Mourinho and co. now 6 points clear at the top of the table. A fine display, Rog. Powerful in the first half. Didn't really do anything in the second half. Once again, that man, Diego Costa, second leading scorer in the Premier League. A great finish. Might have been a little offside, but it was a great finish.
The way he used his chest. Dolly Charlton's never used her chest that well. 11 goals.
Yeah.
10 Premier League games for him this season. Every time I see him wear the Jazz gloves, Dave, with the short sleeves, it makes me think he's not wearing them for the heat.
Yeah.
I always pray he's going to pull off his gloves and reveal a message that he's written on his Jazz hands underneath. Like a Jazz gloves are the new T-shirt message, the under T-shirt.
Yeah.
I wince when I watch him.
Yeah.
And I've worked out why.
Why?
He looks like my doctor about to give me my annual medical.
Really?
I know Chelsea fans are trying to call him the governor.
Yeah.
The most English nickname of all time.
Uh-huh.
I think his nickname should be the proctologist.
That's a very good nickname. It's almost, I'm not saying it's boring to watch them, but it's almost becoming routine. Think about how badly they struggled against West Bromwich Albion last season, Rog. Both games. Very, very fortunate in the home game with the pretty terrible penalty call on Ramirez. But they're a different side this year.
Yeah, Mourinho called their first half play brilliant and beautiful. They then shut it down completely in the second half, which is so Chelsea. Afterwards, Mourinho said, eternal order is prescribed by the sacred engine. Mm-hmm. All things flow from the sacred engine. All things in their place. All passengers in their section. All water flowing.
Wow. Meanwhile, one would imagine their main contenders at this point for the Premier League title, Rog, Manchester City 2, Swansea 1. Ivorian striker Wilfred Boney scored his 5th goal of the season in the 9th minute to put the Swans up 1-0. Gave us another great goal celebration dance, Rog.
Was it?
Yeah, I loved it. I like it. I like his moves.
I think he's mocking white people for being crap dancers.
I don't think so. I think he's just good. But City hit back 10 minutes later behind Stefan Jovetic, who looked as surprised as anyone that he'd actually scored a goal in the 62nd minute. What looked like the Yaya Toure of yore, Rog.
2013-14 vintage.
Streaked through the Swansea defence and finished neatly to keep City 8 points adrift of Chelsea Football Club.
Yep, Boney, 1-0. Again, defensive problems for City. Again, Vincent Kompany.
Vincent.
And Zabaletta's confusion at the heart of it. It's no longer a surprise. New contract, same old Boney. 17 goals he scored in 2014, more than any other player. City dragged themselves back into the game. Jovetic, he did look surprised. I love Jovetic. He finished smartly, but he never looks entirely confident in a City jersey.
Yeah, not in the regular season. In pre-season, looks very confident.
But he looks least confident when he's doing his goal celebrations.
Yeah.
I've never seen a player score and do a goal celebration and seem more nervous and more insecure about the aforementioned goal celebration. And then Yaya Toure rumbling into the box like a siege engine on the steep slope. It was the Yaya Toure of old. 3 points, plenty of dominance, little cutting edge up top when Aguero has an off game. Mm-hmm. Still the same problems. Vincent Kompany living off his reputation. Made this feel more like a kind of pragmatic rather than a joyous win. And I watched, David, this to me is the worst title defence I've ever seen since Manchester City's last title defence.
Yeah.
And all I can do is marvel at Spain, funnily enough, when I watch them, how they went back to back to back, Euro, World Cup, Euro, and retained a collective focus and a winning professionalism, and they didn't tune out their coach, and players didn't believe that they'd been there and done that. Watching City, it makes me marvel all the more at the Spanish achievement.
Having said that, Rog, 8 points at this stage of the season is nothing. All it needs is for them to win one weekend when Chelsea lose, becomes 5 points. If Man City manage to beat Chelsea in the fixture at Stamford Bridge when they play each other head-to-head, it's just 2 points, one game spread. I think that, not sure that this is going to be
does
over
maths this segment.
by Christmas. I know, I love doing maths. I love doing a little bit of that. Because this is what I was thinking about this weekend, Rog. Hull 1, Spurs 2. Let me reread that to you, Rog. Hull 1, Tottenham Hotspur 2. That's twice as many goals as Hull. That means they win the game, Rog, is what I'm saying. Danish midfielder Christian Eriksen's 90th minute blast gave Spurs a 2-1 win over 10-man Hull at the KC Stadium. Spurs join Arsenal and Everton on 17 points.
Yep, at K-Man tweeted us to say, don't look now, but Spurs official have moved to 2-0 in away matches when playing a man up against an inferior squad. Come on, you Spurs. Huge win.
Yeah.
In terms of breathing space for Pochettino. Give him a little more time to right the listing ship. I think step one will occur when they bring on Paul Mitchell, Southampton's head scout, who resigned last week.
I thought you were talking about the hairdresser.
Join Spurs. Oh, I wish he was the hairdresser.
That'd be amazing.
That would be proper Spurs.
If they brought on Paul Mitchell, the hairdresser.
As their chief scout. And they're going to do a massive restructuring of their scouting system and try and work out how they spunk money on the likes of Soldado and Paulinho, while Southampton clinically imported the likes of Pele and Tadic. Jake Livermore spanked home a beauty for Hull, the Tottenham reject. But then Harry Kane scored again. At Jurisprudem tweeted us to say there, me, Harry Kane scores equaliser. My dad, I guess Kane was able. Sometimes I wish football wasn't catching on in America, Davo. And then Ericsson grabbed the late winner. I feel sorry for Hull, Davo. This is the 5th last-minute goal they've leaked.
Yeah.
Darkness beginning to descend a little bit on the beautiful girth of Steve Bruce.
Yeah, but the sending off, Rog, Ramirez, what was he thinking? Really let his team down, I thought.
Yeah, I'd agree. And for Spurs, fascinating couple of English media reports. I think it was Miguel Delaney who wrote that at Spurs, the biggest problem is there's a huge group of players who become almost conditioned against the idea of change because they're so used to the high turnover of managers. It's fascinating from a business strategy and kind of cultural change perspective. Their next couple of games against Everton and Chelsea are going to be remarkable to watch.
Newcastle 1, QPR 0, Rog. Newcastle fans, once dreading potential trips to Blackpool next season, are now planning for Barcelona. The Magpies just one spot outside the top 4 after winning their 5th straight, courtesy of a Sissoko 78th minute strike. I would love to speak to some Newcastle fans who are calling for Pardew to be out to actually tell us what they're thinking.
I worry
right
for them, David.
Yeah.
I really do. I wonder how they adapt from like that mood swing from just complete abject misery to happiness.
Yeah.
At Haig Panis suggested that he thinks it would be like, he sent us a beautiful article to describe it. A £110 porpoise was found dead and bloodied in an English alleyway. It appears to have died as you wish you would live. Boning a lot. Scientists believe the mammal expended too much energy mating, didn't eat and died of starvation. That's how I imagine most of the Newcastle fans are currently behaving there, Dave. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. Pardew, who was meant to be out, is now talking about how really his team are the English Bayern Munich with strength, with pace. And we can laugh, but they've won 5 on the trot. And their squad is just one of surprise. You look at Liverpool, Dave, with all of the people they've brought in, very few of whom have clicked. And then you look at their squad, Newcastle's, where almost everyone. Perez has done great. Sissoko looks great through the middle. There's all this young talent like Haidara and Dummett. I feel for QPR. Again, they can feel unlucky not to have grabbed the point.
Yeah.
But we're living in a mad world when Newcastle were briefly 4th at the weekend.
Yeah, no, it's very, very true. Can we talk about that Ryan Taylor moment? Because that was, I thought, beautiful. We laugh a lot about football. We question the morality of footballers and football in general. But that was just a moment where you just felt, oh, my God, these are humans actually playing this game. And Joey Barton on his knees next to the Newcastle man when
it's
he came
a player
down
who'd
with the
been
injury.
out for 993 days
Yeah.
with a knee injury, came back in, and in his first start since March 2012 had to limp off with an injury. It's turned out not to be as severe as the commentators made us think, and his tears made us think. But when Newcastle snatched the winner, it was very telling of Newcastle's team spirit, Davo.
Yeah.
The whole side ran over to the bench to celebrate with Ryan Taylor.
Yeah, it was lovely.
It was one of those rare moments of compassion where you realise footballers are actually human.
Yeah, it was really beautiful, Rog. In other games, Rog, Southampton stays second but lose ground to league leaders Chelsea after a 1-1 draw with Aston Villa. That was the Monday game at Villa Park, Rog. Burnley won at the Britannia, beating Stoke 2-1 behind 2 Danny Ings goals.
Yeah, at Huntero421 tweeted us at Men in Blazers, Burnley scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
That's 2 months' worth for them.
Yeah.
All hail the Ginger Mourinho.
Yeah, we should say Britannia, a very difficult place to win. Danny Ings, after a great performance for England under-21s over the weekend too, over the international break, looking like a future England striker, Rog, and actually might be too good. And the only thing more depressing than a wet Brendan Rodgers this weekend, Rog, Leicester 0, Sunderland 0, Rog. Oh, look, you've put in the small print, Everton 2, West Ham 1. Why do we never talk about that in general? This was a win, Rog. You should be feeling good about this. Your team now just 2 points outside the top 4, Rog.
Let's not talk. We may have to revert to Nigel rules, David.
Oh, really? Not talking about Everton?
Just explain the Nigel rules.
Oh, the Nigel rules, Rog. You don't like talking about them because then you'll curse them. But this was a big win. West Ham, an in-form team. We were talking about it with Russell Brand in the office last week, Rog.
We were. I'd love to talk to Russell Brand about it now this week.
Yeah, even more.
It was a West Ham withered by injury. Everton had no Leighton Baines. West Ham had no Stuart Downing, Alex Song, or Enner Valencia. They were a shadow of their 2014.
They had Andy Carroll.
Yeah, it was all lump the ball to Andy Carroll.
Yeah.
At MCassin, 11 Mike tweeted us, Tim Howard and Andy Carroll look like the rhythm section of the worst band of all time. And Lukaku, 21 goals in 50 Everton appearances.
Yeah.
Finished with a goal gaping. We almost managed to throw it away. Everton always this season seem to throw it away. At Culture Vulture tweeted, why is it Everton go from mediocre to poor whenever they have the lead? But this time we pulled it out. Lukaku to Samuel Eto'o to Osman in his 400th game for Everton. I don't know if you feel like this about anyone, Davo.
Yeah.
But I always feel mixed emotion cheering a Leon Osman goal.
Really? He's always been your least favourite Everton player. I mean, this goes back 4 years,
I feel like a hypocrite.
Yeah.
I loathe his play with all my might. I think he's far too feeble. But then he scored the winner for Everton. I started crying. But the honest truth is, Leon, if you're listening to this show, you really should have just been a male model, not a footballer.
Player you love, though, Rod. Samuel Eto'o.
More about him, possibly, in the Thanksgiving section.
Oh, can't wait, Rog. In a game that happened just after last week's pod, Rog, Ireland defeated the US 4-1 in Dublin. But we never read too much into international friendlies, do we, Rog? We
don't, and we shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I will say this, David. We got a mutual friend, Rich Cohen, who wrote a beautiful book about the Super Bowl winning Bears.
Yeah, I love that book.
Monsters. And he wrote about a player, Doug Plank, he said this, and this is true for football too. He said there's 3 kinds of coaches.
Yeah.
The aspirin coach, the penicillin coach, and the chemo coach.
Yeah.
He said Mike Ditka was a chemo coach, which is what you need for a team with cancer. But the chemo coach cures the cancer, and the team wins. What does he do? He delivers more chemo because that's who he is. In the absence of cancer, all he does is kills healthy tissue. It's a pretty brutal piece of football speak, NFL speak. But I do worry, Davo. Jurgen's such a man of mind games. You talk to his players, they tell you they don't know what position they're playing until they see the team sheet right before the game, or that he didn't address the team on purpose after their World Cup loss to Belgium. You wonder there'll be a chance they might just start to tune him out completely in this second cycle.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's a poor loss. That was a B Ireland team. I mean, of course, the US men's national team were also missing some key players, but that's very much a B Ireland team, a team that had just lost to Scotland, Rog, themselves, a team that even England beat. So it was not a great result. In fact, what I would say, though, is that this is one of the first times in years and years and years I can remember a US men's national team going over to Europe and having a bad loss. Just hasn't happened. You know, they've really started rewriting that rule book. Still has been an amazing year for the US men's national teams. Ended with a bit of a thud, but it's still been a phenomenal year that any of us would take.
Let's talk about it with our guest.
Yes. Our guest today, Rog, one of our best friends, an incredibly well-coiffed football pundit, but he's more than natty tie knots and perfectly parted hair, Rog. Before injury forced him to retire, he was a silky, smooth midfielder.
El
Serpiente, who starred for both Anne Columbus Crew and an LA Galaxy. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the pod a man who makes us feel even more inadequate than usual, Mr. Kyle Martino.
Oh, that was so beautiful, Davo. Thank you.
Like
I have to give you a disclaimer before we start the pod.
Yeah.
I'm going to apologize in advance for any poor performance on this pod due to the fact that I'm carrying the slightest hangover. Wifey and I went to see Justin Timberlake at the Forum last night, and 2 revelations led to me hitting the sauce a little bit. One, I'm not cool anymore and probably never will be again.
Yeah.
And the one that was harder to take is that I was never cool, and my 3-month-old daughter already knows it and is kind of over me already.
Okay, I've never been more worried about another man than when you just told me that you went to a Justin Timberlake concert last night. Let's just start right there. This is a midlife crisis. You need an intervention. I need to get out there. I need to talk to you and your wife and probably your baby, and we need to erase this.
This is the cry for help. If you let the situation go past, it's all on your hands, whatever happens to be from here on out.
Child welfare, listen to this podcast, Kyle.
Yeah.
You are a busy man right now. You're covering MLS playoffs, the Red Bulls, New England is the series that you're covering. But you're also regularly immersed in the English Premier League narrative. Are you going cross-eyed with all of the kind of storylines you have to keep up with? I know how much you do in terms of research, how hard you work. How is it possible you can keep up with a torrent of Premier League and kind of MLS unfolding?
I don't do any research. It's actually, have you ever seen the movie Roxanne? I've got a Steve Martin-esque person, kind of like the fireman that was trying to hit on Roxanne, who sits just off set and says the sentence to me right before I actually say it.
Is that Eric Winalda?
So,
is that
Winalda?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Winalda just pretends to not do research on television. Off camera, the guy's an encyclopedia of incredible high-level knowledge.
No, you do research. I know you do research. You're a broadcast professional.
I am, and it's been so much fun to do both because they're so. Not only is it different to be the in-game analyst and to be able to be at the stadium, to hear the noise, to be close to it, to smell the grass, and be around the atmosphere. But the studio is a completely different feel, a completely different job, and to be able to cover Premier League with Rebecca and the Robbies, I mean, a team that I absolutely love. That's been such a blast. But there are times where I do get a bit cross-eyed, and I will say Premier League when I'm covering MLS, or say MLS when I'm covering Premier League, and again embarrass my 3-month-old daughter. And I feel like Sybil a little bit.
Robbie Earl's aftershave will do that to a man. It's overpowering.
Yeah. Robbie Earl's moustache will do that to a man.
Robbie Earl's mustache somehow makes him more masculine, more manly, and more handsome than he was before, which I thought was impossible.
I don't know. I think Rog referred to it as the Ron Jeremification of his face yesterday. I think it is a little Pornhub.
It is, yeah, but classy. It's not like it has a plot to it. Mine's just right into the action. I mean, someone comes over and you didn't order this pizza. Well, if you want it, and the plumbing's not working, and the cable's broken. I mean, his has like 45 minutes of plot before it gets into it.
Wow.
This thing has evolved. I don't know if this is my fault that we went into this conversation.
This is exactly the conversation we expected from you, Kyle. But let me ask you a question you don't expect, that you don't normally deal with. MLS is 20 next year.
Yeah.
How do you assess its progress?
It's been meteoric if you really look at the fact that America's the next greatest sport since when? When did that start?
1972.
1972, yeah, and MLS is finally. I just came back from Red Bull Arena and delivering sellouts in football stadiums that have nothing to do with David Beckham being there or some global icon. Going to Red Bull Arena, and you hear sellout all the time, but there's many seats available. This was a sellout with an incredible atmosphere, and in a soccer-specific stadium in a city like New York, where it's hard to get on to go and sit at the sports head table. It's really been incredible. You're looking at Manchester City pumping $100 million into joining, and triple that when you factor in what they eventually do with stadiums, and it's pretty remarkable. You have to talk about some of the things that haven't worked, Chivas USA and some of the early Florida teams, but I think Don Garber, you can criticize him and some of the risks he's taken, calculated risks, but you have to give him a tremendous amount of credit for how he has built not only the relevance of this league and how far-reaching it is, but to now have a global interest where people are coming over to try and grow their brands and help grow our brand by pumping all this capital into our league, suggests that these very savvy businessmen see the great potential and the exponential return on investment you can get in a soccer landscape that has enormous soccer fans, but the disconnect has been making those soccer fans MLS fans. And I think every year, especially with the strength of a World Cup, Don Garba's done a good job of capitalizing on that momentum and building interest in this league.
Where do you stand on the Jurgen versus Don Garba debate about whether our best young American talent should play abroad?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting debate because you have to really identify and compartmentalize Jurgen, the U.S. national team coach, and Jurgen, the technical director. As Jurgen, the U.S. national team coach, of course he can say those things, and he thinks those things, and by the way, we all think those things, so it's not a surprise he's saying that. Where Don Garber gets upset is as a technical director whose job description does somewhat involve helping grow the league domestically, to say every player should leave and go abroad. All of a sudden, Don Garber gets 20 phone calls from owners that say, "Hey, I've lost millions of dollars on this league," and was just convinced to pump millions more into development. And the guy that all these young kids look up to and want to impress is saying go abroad. That really throws a monkey wrench in this situation. And also, I don't think it as an ultimate truth. He's right. Of course, the Premier League, La Liga, and Serie A and the Bundesliga are better leagues. Of course they are. It's silly to sit and try and argue that they aren't. I would argue that the disparity is not as great as many think. But to say every player needs to go abroad to become the greatest player they can is not true. I mean, take Fulham, for instance. Brian McBride goes to Fulham, has an incredible career that ups his game in the latter parts of his career. He has a bar named after him at Craven Cottage, and Eddie Johnson goes to the same club, and it was a fraction away from completely ending his entire soccer career because of how bad it went over there and how it wasn't right for him. And coming back to MLS actually got him into the U.S. national team picture again. And Jurgen took more MLS players than any coach before him. So obviously MLS is incredibly integral and super important as a pipeline to the U.S. national team. I hope that they can find some common ground and find some synergies, because it doesn't help anyone for mom and dad to fight in public like that and embarrass us all.
Yeah, but I've heard Breck Shea's paintings really developed in Stoke.
I mean, Breck Shea is coming back as an impressionist that is respected in every hipster community in the United States now. So, I mean, if you're going to say that it wasn't a success, I don't know what you're looking at.
Yeah, I think he moved into gouache at Birmingham City. DeAndre Yedlin.
Yes, the Yedlin question.
Akron. He was playing for the Zips like 5 minutes ago. Is he going to save Spurs' season? Is he ever even going to get to Spurs, do you think? And if he does, is he ready?
Well, he's trying to go to Spurs through that great relative that happened to have a loophole where they came over during a certain time and they can figure out a way to get him the passport. I mean, that's really where all his hopes are on getting over there, because I don't think he'd qualify for a work permit. If he does get over there, is he the answer? No. They just spent all that bail money on players that were playing in the Champions League, playing for Ajax, and were all the up-and-coming and established bright stars that weren't the answer. So DeAndre certainly won't be. Kyle Walker coming back, Naughton getting a lot of time. I mean, they're all very similar players at right back. So, is it good for him? Does he have an opportunity to break in that side? Absolutely, because Pochettino's not putting up with anything with the attitude of the team and losing at White Hart Lane and performing the way they are. So he's hungry to give someone an opportunity who shows promise in training week in and week out. And I think DeAndre has a tremendous amount of raw potential, incredible athletic ability that's on par probably with Kyle Walker. I'm really interested to see how it shakes out. I'm rooting for him. I like him. I've talked to him many times, and he's a bright young kid who's a perfect example of what you can shoot for and what you can become coming up through the systems in the United States. And I can't wait. I actually hope he gets the opportunity to get over there and show what he can do. He showed here what he can do, and I'm sure Seattle and MLS would have loved to have kept him. But good money for a bright young star. You got to be a two-way market here.
Roger and I were talking earlier about the disappointing end to the US men's national team season in Dublin. Are there any alarm bells going off for you about what's going on in the national setup? Yeah,
I mean, the alarm bells for me are And I voiced this at the beginning when Jurgen came in. I'm still on board with Jurgen. I think Jurgen's the right guy. I think that he is incredibly detailed and controlling in what he wants to create. He's very ambitious in what he wants to create here. I wonder if he has the right people around him to help get that across. Because from what I've heard and what I've seen, it is an abrasive style that he has that has rubbed people the wrong way, even in Germany, in a place that is much more disciplined and much more organized and professional than our atmosphere is.
It's a place where they like
in the United
Germans.
States, whether it be the league or the national team. I just wonder if he has the deputies to help sort of smooth over his relationships with players and be good cop. But not only good cop, but good cop technician and tactical mastermind. Because as great as Jurgen Klinsmann is at the big picture from 30,000 feet, and I think he's excellent, and I think that's such a lucky scenario that we have him for that. It was proven with Germany that Jogi Löw was the one who helped execute his philosophy and help get it across to the players. And, I'm not in training every day. I'm not with the group every single day. So, it's hard to be hypercritical of an atmosphere that you don't get to see. But that's just my worry, is that Jurgen might lose a group of guys by not having someone that can help, smooth the feathers that Jurgen tends to rustle intentionally to trying to put guys in an uncomfortable scenario they're not used to in order to demand more from them than anyone's been able to get out of them in the past.
On to more serious, weighty, I think probably burning questions for you. On the NBC set, where do the stairs go to on the Match of the Day area?
I actually tried to go up them one day and see what was on the other side, and I was warned against it. What I think is I think they lead to Rebecca Lowe's private quarters, where it's basically all porcelain, and she gets to go in there and sit and just have people feed her and have people wave her and have people just do her nails, pedicure, manicure, and just get the sort of treatment that a woman of her stature deserves. I mean, Lady Lowe runs our whole world. She is our John Terry, but with actual morals. And
I once applied for the job of Rebecca Lowe's eunuch.
You know what? I know where she's from in London. She isn't all that. I thought that there might be another Robbie secured up there, a Robbie that we never see.
I mean, you have to. I mean, you never know, because the reality is there's now with three. With three of us rotating for two jobs, there always has to be a Robbie on the set. If we, by chance, lost both Robbies, I mean, we don't let them fly together because we're so worried to be Robbie-less. Mm-hmm. So there could be a Robbie up there. Next time, I'll check.
We have a lot of young male listeners who are trying to get ahead in the world and aspire to...
I thought you told me 7.
Great. Well, I am hyperbolic when I say a lot.
Up to 9.
Yeah,
up to 9.
Wow.
Between 7 and 9. We flicker depending on the guest, Kyle. We're hoping for about 8.
For a 0 today.
5.
Can you reveal the secret, the truth almost, of the perfectly bulbous tie knot?
It's what's interesting about that is I'd love to give you a Barbara Walters tear-jerking answer that the huge tie knot is just masking my insecurity, but we all know that I do that with my hair, so that can't be the answer. Basically, and I hate to disappoint the 5 people listening, the reality is it was user error. Robbie Earle had taught me how to tie a double Windsor that morning, and I went in to do it, and this is where I felt hung out to dry by my brotherhood.
Yeah, thrown under the tie knot bus. I love it.
Yeah, it's just Rebecca and Robbie, whoever it was on the day. That's where you're good, where you can say Robbie, and you at least get that 100% right. Is none of them gave me a heads up that I had tied the most offensive tie knot in the history of tie knots, and it was kind of a rush in the morning. I mean, I'm on 3 a.m. East Coast or West Coast time by the time we get on set, having flown in the night before. So I'm rustled. I think I've got everything in order, and not until I get off of air in that segment and I see that I've basically started a Twitter account called
I'm glad we were there. Glad we were there to help.
Enormous knot. It was kind of like having a kick me sign on all day in school, and your buddies just don't even give you a heads up. So yeah, it was tire error, And also the material on that tie, I'll have to wear it one more time to see if I can pull it off. The material on that tie is a little bit thick, and I just don't think it's possible to execute the double Windsor with it. But before the season's over, that pink tie with the stripes, I'm going to give it another go. And I'd love to say that was my intentional style to create a brand for myself. But in reality, I can take no credit other than my stupidity and inability to actually look at myself in the mirror before I went out on set.
I know how you feel. Davo's thrown me under the cuff bus once or twice.
I have a war pig tie now, though. I'm going to wear it. I'm going to wear it. When am I back on set? I'm back on set next midweek game. I'll wear it on that Tuesday.
Oh, that's going to upset one of the Robbies.
It will. It will.
Hopefully,
well, I mean, and
both.
if I have to explain to Rebecca how I got Men in Blazers merchandise that she didn't get, I mean, you're really going to hear it, guys. Just warn you.
You've got a new daughter. Thanksgiving. Just give us a touch of your plans. This is our Thanksgiving special, Kyle.
Yeah, so we're going to my father-in-law's, to Tim's house in Venice, Venice Beach, not Venice, Italy. That would be very high profile. But yeah, we're going right down the street. And we're going to deep fry a turkey and bake a turkey. And the thing that I worry about with having Oscar-winning in-laws is it seems like they really love me, but we all know that they are world-winning pretenders. So I worry that they actually despise me, and I just see their Oscar-winning acting every single day when I show up at their house.
Have you seen Jacob's Ladder?
I actually haven't. That's bad.
Watch Jacob's Ladder. Maybe you should watch it with your daughter on Thanksgiving and your father-in-law.
Is that appropriate for her? That sounds like a pretty. It's going to 3-month-old watch Jacob's Ladder.
Probably more appropriate than the Justin Timberlake concert, to be honest.
Nothing's more appropriate than JT.
Kyle, thanks so much. Can't wait to see you again. You're favorite. The only man we've ever allowed to co-host Men in Blazers on Sirius Radio.
Stop that. I love you guys.
Co-hosted with both of us before. Have a great Thanksgiving with your new daughter.
You too, gentlemen.
Health and happiness. Enjoy every second, Kyle. We'll see you in New
You
York.
too, fellas. I'll see you soon.
We'll talk off air about the Justin Timberlake incident.
Yeah, I need help.
Okay, bye. What a man, Rog.
He's twice the man we are combined, David.
Yeah.
It's half a Robbie Muster.
Yeah. in a lot of ways, Rog. From Alexi, not Rog. It's the Ravens in Asheville, North Carolina. I've fallen in love with football since the World Cup, gents. I adore the ritual of waking up way too early on a weekend morning to cheer on all the characters in the vast EPL cast. The action is good even when it's bad. Yet, the thing I like most is the post-game interview where the sweaty players stand in a tiny room or holding cell and pant into a microphone. The funny thing is, I do not understand a word any of them say because their accents are indecipherable, especially the English ones. Is that just an American thing, or do you have problems understanding any of your fellow Englishmen because of their thick regional accents? Courage. Interesting. Yeah, the accents are very thick, and they also mumble a lot, Rog.
Yeah, I mean, I've been devouring, actually.
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders.
Mm-hmm. I know. Do you love that show?
I do. It's the
My
best
nephew, Harrison, works on it.
Oh, it's a BBC show that's available as a Netflix series.
Yeah.
It's set in Birmingham after the First World War. It's a hilariously overblown gangster series.
Do you know this is produced, by the way, by Karen Manderbach, the former partner of Liverpool owner Tom Werner? Connecting it back to football.
Werner's got to get into that.
Yeah.
Ditch Cosby.
Yeah.
Get into Peaky Blinders. Cillian Murphy is exquisite.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy steals every scene he's in.
Yeah.
Sam Neill, who I've got very ambivalent feelings about, he vamps it up in this magically. And I try and persuade myself that the show is a documentary about Aston Villa's founding, which is how I got myself into it. I cannot encourage you to watch it enough and just laugh at the show. The reason I'm bringing it up, I feel like Alexi sounds like when I watch it. It's the Birmingham accent.
Birmingham?
Yeah.
Birmingham, you sound like you got a cold.
I don't understand the word they say. And I have to get
terrible cold.
I have to get my wife, who's a New Yorker.
Yeah.
I have to keep pausing it and be like, what did they just say?
Yeah. And she knows.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Well, she's married to me and I'm a mumbler, so she's pretty good at decoding that
she's
crap.
got it. No, the strength of the accents, it's incredible, especially when you go up north of London, Rog. Very difficult to understand what they're saying.
Taking you next year.
The winner, Rog, of the coveted Guinness Men in Blazers Poet, Philosopher, Saka, Scribe, Raven of the Week is Ryan Stanovich in Suffolk County, New York. It's a county where I spend quite a lot of time, Rog. As I sit here and reminisce about Thanksgiving past, Ryan writes, and look forward to Thursday's celebration, I cannot help but be reminded of previous pods in which you both stated that you couldn't quite get into the holiday spirit for Thanksgiving. Surely this cannot be true. How could a holiday that was created by British people who were so happy to have finally reached the American shores that they threw the biggest party they could not ring home with you? It's an opportunity to gather with family and loved ones, to eat and drink and to be merry, and to remember the most important thing of all. No matter how bad your lot in life is, it could be worse. You could still be in England. A couple of points. One, these so-called English people who were so happy not to be in England did call the place where they landed New England, Rog. They made a point of New England, and they named every little town and village after the villages and towns that they came from in England. And secondly, they didn't throw a wild party for everyone, Rog. They only invited Squanto, the chief. And he then brought all of his mates, brought all of his warriors, all of his braves along. I don't think they intended to throw such a big party, as I understand the history of Thanksgiving.
I think, and people who understand American history better than I do,
Yeah.
I think they originally called it New and Improved England.
New and improved England.
But that part dropped out. I
It was
realised
called F off England.
I realised why I found it so hard to get into Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I've given this a lot of thought in preparation for yesterday's Thanksgiving show, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I realised what held me back at the outset was that there just weren't enough Jews who were kind of tormented in conditions of abject
Roger's
misery for me
worldview right
to relate
now.
at the
Roger's
outset.
worldview.
So that was I've gotten over that now, David.
When did the first Jews come to America?
I think in with the East India Company,
Yeah.
and they quickly banned them, and then they invited them back in
Interesting.
for
You've gotta do
reasons
some
that I don't want
research
to talk about on the
I feel
pod.
like
'Cause I'm
New
going to
Jersey-
unintentionally
I feel like
start
New
to
Jersey
sound
or
like a bit
Maryland.
like Dave Whelan.
New Jersey or Maryland?
Rhode
is where they
Island,
probably
I
came.
think.
Oh, really?
I believe that's the case. But I'll say that for my other pod today in contemporary Jewish historic issues. But I'm a deep believer, Dave, in living
Yeah.
a life, actually, seriously, in which I'm awareness of gratitude and taking nothing for granted. That definitely values that I aspire. So in that spirit,
Is
David,
this outer Rog or inner Rog?
middling.
Okay, got it. Okay, very good.
I'm going to spend
Carry
this
on.
Thanksgiving listening
Yeah.
to Simon and Garfunkel's America on repeat. It took me 4 days to hitchhike from Saginaw. I've gone to look for America. Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to
Good.
my family with that. And I want to talk to you, David, about savouring the day. What are you thankful for? 2 things, David, that you are thankful for.
Well, I'm thankful for Arlo. Really thankful.
Why are you
for
tall
Arlo.
black?
Well, both, actually. I'm thankful for Arlo White and Arlo Black. Can I have those as one thing? I'm thankful for Arlo. Definitely thankful, that little fella who's come into my life. What else am I thankful? I'm really thankful. Just, what a year we've had with our GFOPs, Rod. What an amazing year we've had with our GFOPs. It's blown me away. You know what I'm thankful for, Rog? Can I just say, because it's really allowed me to connect to our GFOPs in a new way. I'm thankful for Instagram. Instagram has really brought something to my life. That's how shallow I am. It's been one of the deepest things that happened this year to me, Instagram.
Go on.
Well, just like seeing the way that our GFOPs interpret what we do. They send us amazing pictures. We see the way you interact with our product and interact with our content. You communicate with us through images, and images are very, very powerful. And it's just been a great year in that respect.
Yeah, I'd say that would be my first one would be Mr. Samuel Eto'o.
Yeah, Eto.
The man who at Chelsea seemed worn down, unreliable, a spent force.
Yeah.
Watching him be rejuvenated like one of those blokes in Cocoon at Everton. I mean, this is a career in which he excelled for elite teams without ever really receiving the adulation that I think he deserves.
Yeah.
And he's definitely dropped down a level, I'll admit, by going to Goodison Park. But he appears to be just experiencing a mutual love affair with Everton and their fans. And he brings to this Everton side things it needs: experience, vision, and ability to actually play football well.
What I like about Eto is that he's a man who clearly loves playing football. He's a guy that if he wasn't being paid as a professional, you feel like he'd be running around a park playing Sunday League. He loves playing football.
Second for me,
Yeah.
same as you, big man.
Yeah.
GFOPs.
Oh, the GFOPs.
It's been a magical year.
Yeah.
It really has. One in which we've been presented together, Dave, with so many opportunities to be together live with our GFOPs. It's something I actually want to build on in 2015, be in more cities, spend more time with American men and women who love the game we love and are building fascinating football cultures across this nation. That's really, moving from Thanksgiving to New Year's resolutions, I think that's really my focus.
Yeah, I've met some truly amazing, amazing people this year through Men in Blazers.
Happy
Rog.
Thanksgiving, GFOPs.
Happy Thanksgiving, GFOPs, without a doubt. Okay, Rog, your weekend looks like this. Chelsea versus Sunderland at 12:30 Saturday afternoon.
Jose,
that's on
come
the
to
network,
light.
Rog. That's on the NBC television network. Southampton versus Manchester City, 8:30 a.m. Sunday on NBC.
Moment of truth time, but for who?
And the second leg, Rog, of an MLS conference finals. Those are going on this weekend. New York Red Bull visit New England. That's on Saturday, 3 p.m. on NBC Sports Network. New England won the first leg 2-1. And Seattle, Rog, host an LA Galaxy at 9 p.m. Sunday on ESPN. The Galaxy won the first leg 1-2-0, Rog. Okay, there are many ways to connect to us. One is through our Amazon Emporium, which helps keep the show going. Anytime you go on Amazon for items big or small, just click off the Emporium page, and Men in Blazers gets a tiny percentage that allows us to cover the cost of creating the podcast. What are you putting in the store this week, Rog?
John Berryman
Yeah.
was a confessional poet in the 1950s. That means a dark poet.
Yeah.
His father committed suicide. He was an alcoholic up to his own suicide, age 57. He jumped from the Washington Avenue Bridge in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And according to witnesses, he first waved goodbye before he jumped.
That's awful.
And it's a centennial of his birth. And FSG have released all of his books beautifully, actually. The one I've been enjoying this week is The Heart is Strange. It's definitely a book of alienated self-loathing.
Perfect for you,
and
Rog.
self-consciousness.
Oh, that must have brought you so much joy.
There's a poem called Mr. Pooh and the Alphabet, which he wrote in 1961 for a young son he no longer lived with. And it begins, A is for awful, which things are. B is for bear them well as we can. And then it goes on and downwards from there, David.
God,
it's amazing.
So depressing, so depressing. Well, Rog, I'm putting into the store the JW Treat Puzzler Treat Ball. Intelligent Ideas, Happy Pets, Rog. This is a really clever product that was recommended to me by a GFOP that I bought for Arlo, and he absolutely loves it. You put his treat inside the treat puzzler, Rog, his favourite treat, like his little cookie that he gets when he's a good boy and he pees on the paper or sits before I give him his dinner. And you put it in, and it's a puzzle that he has to figure out in order to be able to get his treat out.
That sounds like a doggy toy that was invented in Guantanamo.
He spends hours with this thing trying to figure out how to get his treat out of here. It's an absolutely brilliant toy, especially for a lab who is teething.
I thought you were going to put your doggy GoPro in there.
Oh, we did just buy a GoPro, Rog, because we're going to be featuring Arlo on the Men in Blazers show shortly, and we got a wireless connection to actually show Arlo's point of view as he pees all over both of us, which will probably happen. Another way to connect to us, Rog, meninblazers.wikispaces.com. That's a wonder of the modern world. It's GFOP maintained. meninblazers.com. Rog, you can always find us there. Sign up for our newsletter. Twitter, at Embassy Davies, at Rog Bennett, at Men in Blazers. On Instagram, which I'm thankful for, at Men in Blazers. Go to our Facebook. We've got a subreddit, Rog, that's maintained by GFOP. Akshay. That's reddit.com/r/Men in Blazers. You can email us, always email us at meninblazers@gmail.com. Send your ravens to the crap part of Soho. Vanderpunk, Rog.
War pig.
Who wants to sex Matumbo?
Explosion.
Courage.